how I have waited for this day. So, a conclusion to the story that has gone, the saga that has taken place. We have been investigating Redfin now, trying to figure out what are they doing.
This is, you know what this is like? This is like when you were a kid and you watched DuckTales, and every once in a while they said, to be continued, and you were like, no, I don't want to wait for the to be continued episode. But then you got lucky, and somehow you got the to be continued episode. We're getting
Back to back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this is for sure. I mean, so this began, people started seeing this. You got lucky in the sense that you were able to see behind the scenes what was going on. You had a homeowner who was planning on listing their home with you. They clicked on the buy now or the Redfin now button, whatever, and they started talking Redfin. And ultimately, you said to them, "Gosh, it sounds like an awfully good deal."
Gosh, let me say, I am lucky. I do get to see behind the scenes.
Yes. So you got to see, and you told him, you said, you know what? There's a comp bomb coming.
Yeah.
You called another listing that was pending. You asked the agent, what are you guys in for? They were nice enough to tell you. You have enough rapport in the industry that the agent knew you and said, hey, you know what? We're in escrow for this much. And you said, guys, we need to get out. You need to sell. If they'll buy it for you from you for that much, do it. So let's reset the stage so that we can bring the conclusion of this whole thing.
Tailspin second episode.
It's all done now.
Yeah.
The home is sold. We know what Redfin did with the property.
Right.
We could probably figure out to some extent how well they did on it.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. You might be surprised by what this done, and ultimately, we'll see who was right.
So as a reminder, this started, and we can summarize it together because otherwise I'll drone on and on and on. I met with these clients almost a year ago now, and it was like July, August, and they said, hey, we're going to be selling our home probably sometime in the spring. But you were referred to us. We want to chat with you. We want to understand what are the things that we need to do, etc. So I started meeting with them. So I met with them like 6 months before they even were really planning on selling the property. And what I have learned is I need to stay in contact with those people. And so I told them, I said, tell you what, we'll watch the market together. And every week or every couple weeks, I'll let you know. Send you CMA is something that we talk about, a comparative market analysis. Just says, what's the value, in my opinion, of your home and what's happening. So I started doing that like July, August, a year ago. And the value went up, and then come like October, things went sour. And what ended up happening was I said, hey, I recommend listing at 629. And then a few weeks later, hey, market's adjusted. I think we should actually be at 619 if we were to list it today. And then a month or two later, hey, we've had some new comps. I think we're probably at 609. Then pretty soon, hey, the market is still changing. And I do it for a variety of reasons. One, to stay in contact with people, so it's not like I'm telling them in July 629, and then when I meet with them in January, they go, I thought you said 629, now you're telling me 599? That's 30 grand out of our pocket. So that they could see this, but also so that they could see the trend. So we're getting ready to list it, and they've downloaded a few of the apps, exactly to your point. They click on the Redfin now, send me an offer. And Redfin basically says 600,000.
And so I've got the timeline here that we can kind of pull up and go off of. March 2019, they bought this home from the homeowners for $600,000.
Redfin now did, yes.
Redfin bought the house from them for $600,000. Now they have minus $42,000 on here because there's a 7% fee associated with it. So
yeah, so they break it up as we did last time. They do a 6% convenience fee and a 1% risk fee. They name them different things, but essentially they take 7% off the top.
Take 7%. So that's a $558 net that Redfin paid for it. So this property. And the comp bomb that we were referring to was 580. Okay, so we were looking at that going, man, this is awfully skinny. If this comp holds up, this is an awfully skinny deal they're in for 558 on.
Right.
Are they really trying to make money on this, or do they just want to sign in the yard? Right. Is there something else? There's something that we don't know or that we don't understand about what's going on here. Now, this is also very interesting to me. They did a rent back, almost 2 months
Right.
rent back to the seller.
So as part of the deal, originally the sellers, the owners said, "Hey, we want a super long escrow. We want 60-day escrow." And Redfin now wrote the offer that way. And when I said my recommendation to them was have them write the offer. Like, let's see and let's navigate it together and let's see what there is. So they did this 60-day escrow, and then I said, this is a bad idea. They don't have any earnest money, a variety of different things. Do a really short escrow and do a leaseback. That way you've got the money in your pocket. Because otherwise, what if they go 59 days, the market continues this downward trend, and then all of a sudden we run into a spot where they change their mind, they back out, you don't have any, you're left holding the bag. So instead we changed it from a very short escrow to them renting it back, and the seller knew that they were going to pay over market rent. But an extra $1,000 a month in order to know they've got the money in their pocket makes sense. Was our decision.
For sure, I think that was smart, and it was good that you advised them on that. I was surprised that Redfin did that they were willing to do that because it's additional risk on their part, right. And it already looked like a skinny deal. It seemed like, hey, let us in, you get out. But they did it, which was great. Worked out for everyone. So they went back to the sellers till May 9th. May 10th, and it may not have been exactly May 9th. Some of this is
because they did some basic repairs.
Yeah.
They did put money into fixing it up.
They did.
They did.
How much do you think they put into it?
15 grand.
Really?
Yeah.
That much? That's not a little money.
Yeah. Well, the margins are tight, which is why when we saw this comp bomb at 580, which was a model match in escrow, better view, called the agent. I have a relationship with her. She said, Steve, I'll be square with you. We're at 580. That I said, hey, if you're going to sell your property at 600,000, and this is where we got into the conversation with Redfin, where are they making money? Because they're going to buy it at a 558 net. They have to put money into it. The comps say 580. They got to pay a 2.5% CBB, the cooperating broker compensation. They're losing money. And then we had the argument, I think that was another one that I won, where you were saying they want to put a sign on the yard, and I was saying that was a really stupid idea. And you remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
It's not the time that I was right the last time or the previous time. I think now it's 3 times.
You're right, except for you're wrong. They clearly wanted that sign in the yard.
Except they clearly are smarter than me.
Well, let's walk through this. So this is the comp bomb. And this is a nice place, and it's like a model match.
It is exact same square footage, exact same everything.
Exact same everything. You can see what the current Redfin estimate is. So that's what we're looking at. The Redfin estimate was high on these, in our opinion, at least first what the sell price was, and we were thinking, are they really tethered to that Redfin estimate? Are they really looking at that and going, you know what, this is for sure. We're trusting in this. We believe in our technology. We believe that this is going to be correct. And that's why we're willing to buy this place for $558 if we think it's worth $640 or whatever.
Right.
So, both really nice houses in a really good neighborhood in Vista. Nice big houses, 3 2.5s. Now, so they originally, let's go back to the Word doc here, which has our timeline. They listed May 10th.
We're getting to you, Robert. We're getting to you.
Who won the bet, by the way? Oh, don't you worry.
Oh, don't you worry. Hang on.
Don't you worry. So, they list the price, or they list the home for $624,900 on May 10th, and you said they made some repairs. Maybe they put 15 grand into it, which is quite a bit. I'm surprised they put that much into it, but let's say that they did. So they listed for $624,900. Now that looks pretty healthy. If you look at that from the $558 net purchase price, $624,900. There's room there. Like, this is a legit flip.
Yeah.
Like a legit flip. They go into contract right away. We don't know what they were in contract for, but they do go into contract within a few days of being on the market, which was pretty surprising to me. It seemed like it was overpriced. It seemed like it was obviously overpriced, but sometimes sellers do that. When they have a really good product, they'll list it a little bit higher because they say, all right, if somebody comes in and offers less, fine. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, is that their strategy? They're in contract for 1 week, and then it falls out. Uh-oh. Someone did their research and was like, you know what? We're not going to give you this much for it. And they bailed, and they're out. Now, they stay on the market for what's close to 30 days total before they do a price reduce to $615. So almost 30 days on the market, then they do a price reduction down to $615. 10 G's I'd say that's probably the minimum price reduction you could do here to have any effect, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
The minimum would be 10 grand off a 625 basis.
Yeah.
You know, you'd say it should probably be more than that, but okay. Let's say 10 grand is the minimum. So they price reduced to 615. Then, July 8th, almost a month later, they close at 610,000.
$30,000 over the comp.
30,000 above.
Yeah, 30,000
the comp
above
comp.
the model match comp that we had seen. But here's now you're going to get my analysis.
No, you don't get that yet.
I-
no,
I-
no, not yet. Nope. No. You do not get to just sidestep the butt whipping that
No,
you have
I
coming.
do.
You do not get to do that. So here is, let's take a real hard, long look at these properties. Now, there's, in fairness to Steve, this one did sell. 1697 Olympus Loop sold for $580. I am happy for the buyers.
Yeah.
The buyers bought well. They did. We couldn't really see that at the time. We knew it was in escrow for $580. Now we come over here to 1676. This is the property in question. What's really interesting about it is you can see the RedFin estimate here is dramatically less. $598 is what they say the RedFin estimate is on this one, which is a model match. I mean, these are across the street from one another. Yeah. And this one's 640, but they're actually flip-flop. This one sold for $580, and this one sold for $610. So it just shows you there's air, there's room, there's wiggle room, and those things are not exact, they're guesses, okay? But it is crazy to think about this one here, which as you can see, 2.5, 2003 square feet. This one selling for $610, and this one just months prior to that, the same year, really in the same market.
Yeah, it's
sold for $580.
And I disagree that it's in the same market. This is where I sidestep.
No, I'm not letting you do that
This
yet.
is where I
I'm still on
avoid
my
the
soapbox.
spankings on live television, on live Facebook. Is the market changed? And what I saw, what we saw, me and the sellers, is we saw the trend through November, December, January, February, trending down. And then we had the drop in interest rates, and then all of a sudden the market adjusted and said, all that demand of those people, of buyers that sat on the sideline over the wintertime, all of a sudden they jumped in. So, my opinion, Redfin got lucky. And normally I'm lucky.
So
However,
it was the middle of March when this thing closed.
correct. Which
So-
is just, and when did interest
It
rates?
is the same market because it closed in March of in the middle of March for $580, and they purchased. Let's go back to our timeline, Steve. They purchased in March for $558. So the chips went in on the turn. I mean, everybody put their money in at the same place. So you're talking about when they sold it, the market was better. Is what you're
exactly.
saying.
When they relisted the property, the market was entirely different than the market that they had purchased it. Granted, it was only 3 months previous, but they timed
about
it
4 months.
about 4 months. They timed it really, really well. Redfin did, and in my opinion,
You think it was intentional?
oh, that's a great question. And I would like to think that such a large company has genius minds working on their behalf. Because in my opinion, what they did in hindsight was genius. They bought the property just as the market was softening. Then they got to rent it out at above market value while the market improved. They didn't need to carry the inventory vacant or anything like that. Then the seller gets out, the seller is happy, they fix up the property, go on the market, and what isn't shown there is they list at 624.9, 4 days later they go into escrow, they fall out. A week later, after falling out, they reduce the price. 3 days later, they're back in escrow. They timed it perfectly.
They went for the fences with it too.
And we had thought, because we're starting to see the Redfin now, or at least previously, I'm not seeing as much now, but previously we had seen those Redfin now jumping into the market. We had thought, man, their margins are too small. And I don't know the $15,000 number. Probably it's less because they're doing it at cost. So maybe it's $10,000. But still, the margins are tight, particularly when you've got that comp bomb, that pending sale at 580, and they're essentially, yes, they're after commissions, et cetera, or convenience fees, they're calling it, they're buying it at essentially 560. But 560, 580, they're offering 2.5%. So they really need to get 600, I mean, we could figure it out. 2.5% of 575 is what, $15,000? It's kind of in that range. So at 560, if they got 580,
It'd be very skinny.
it'd be super skinny.
But my point, and proof that I'm right and have been right every time we do the show, is that it was more important for them to have the sign in the yard, more important for them to have the market share, more important for them to get who knows how much activity Redfin gets from a listing because of their website, because of their app, because of their ability to, to get in front of traffic, right? When they get a listing, we don't know what their metrics are. We don't know how much goosing that does to the bottom line or how many buyers that creates and all that stuff. So my theory was that they try to break even on this stuff,
Right.
but they get the ramp in inventory, they get the ramp in market share, and that's where the money
And they
is
get
made.
And they get the branding, and then they pick up the buyers, and then they're able to make.
Et cetera. Yeah, because discount brokers are always looking for buyers. That's where they get paid in full. And so if this is 610, let's say they put 10,000 into it, we're going to do really easy math.
I like it.
They put 10,000 into it, so it's 600. We're down to 600. They bought it for 558, so now we have 42,000 to play with.
They're paying a 2.5% CBB on 610.
They're also their cost, I believe, is 1.5, but they're probably not. They're probably just paying bonuses and stuff. So let's say their commission cost is 3% total.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so that's 18.
Well, 18 change.
18 and change.
18.3.
Yeah.
So they're at 18.3 for that. But they had 42 to play with. There's probably some other closing costs as the seller that they're going to have to pay for. Let's call it 1%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is another 6. So there's 25. So you're saying 42 minus 25, we're at 17,000. I mean, all said and done, that they get out of it. I think if they get out in the black, it's a win because of your point in terms of all the branding and get a sign out front and hey, they can market to the neighborhood, et cetera. And in this one, they probably walk away with somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000.
Yeah, and they need that 15 or 20 on this one though because the next one may not work out that well.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. Those things are going to wash. So the question was, is Redfin smarter than Steve?
In this case,
Yes.
can we complete the sentence? In this particular case, who wrote this subject?
Redfin wins.
Who do I?
Don't worry, I won't take you out in the back and shoot you dead. But I will tell you this. I understood your caution. I think you advised the clients properly. I think they got a good deal.
Yeah.
I did.
At the time.
Yeah, because they wanted to sell then.
Right.
They wanted to make a move then. And the way things were kind of shaping up the market, we weren't quite sure what was going on. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen next? Bird in hand, 2 in the bush. You advised them to take the one that was in hand, and I think that was the right thing to do. And I don't know if they had capacity to put the money into the property to do the things that were necessary to necessarily
And they did not.
get it. So in that case, who knows? They may have won. It can happen in real estate where everybody wins.
Absolutely.
It can happen. It's not the stock market where either you're on this side or you're on that side, and this guy made money and you lost money.
Right.
A zero-sum game. It's not like that. Because of timing and time in the market, because of circumstance, because of different value hierarchies that people have. Some sellers went out now. They just went out. Some sellers don't have money to put into a property. Some sellers do. And then you go a different direction with that.
Yeah.
So everybody can win. And this is one of those situations where literally everybody won except Steve.
Well, so what we determined is Redfin was right, Steve was less right.
Just everyone wins but Steve. Poor guy.
So
I mean, all this work,
can we bring it
no
back?
real estate commissions. he advised properly.
Wait a second. What is happening
Everybody can win
Everybody-
sometimes, but in this case, everyone won but Steve.
But I was able to bestow knowledge upon.
You were. And listen, the market will thank you for that. I'm 100% sure. We'll see. We'll see if people in Vista want a great realtor. Right here, Carlsbad, Oceanside. This is the guy. He deserves it. So, I do think that what we have seen here is their willingness to be aggressive. Yes. Their willingness to be in the market, to take a chance. I I think that we kind of already knew that about Redfin based on the fact that they've reinvested all revenues into growth. They've never made a profit. But to see them do it at this level, there's another thing that's going on. There's a real estate company out there right now that is offering something that is kind of crazy like that as well, where they're offering to basically fund repairs for sellers.
Yeah.
With no cost, no interest, and things like that. You're starting to see aggressive moves toward market share.
Right.
Really aggressive, really risky moves toward market share. And when that happens, we'll get to you, Robert. He said, who won the bet, by the way? Don't fight the Fed, agree. Okay, luckier, yes. Stick to refereeing, Steve. Steve's a basketball referee.
Sure,
for
it
those
doesn't
who
say
don't know.
stick to referring, Steve. No.
That's what I thought it was at first. Referring or refereeing, yes. When you see these big companies start to make these really aggressive moves, it usually means you're at the top.
Yeah.
It usually does. But we have two articles that have come out this week. The one yesterday was from the Union Tribune. Highest median price in the history of San Diego.
Yeah. I think a year ago, November maybe, right around there, I made a bet that said, in my opinion, Oceanside would appreciate. And I think it was November to November.
Oceanside's crushing.
Oceanside
I lose.
is crushing.
Oceanside's crushing. Dude, Oceanside is Carlsbad. I saw this in 2013. I'm an idiot for not pulling the trigger because, first of all, great brand name. Oceanside.
Great brand.
Well, you got to look at it like that. This is marketing, like real estate's marketing. Oceanside.
Ocean Beach.
Yeah, just like Ocean Beach. Look how crazy it is at Ocean Beach. Is Ocean Beach really worth all that? Is it? You tell me. Is it really worth all that? It's not worth all that. But great branding.
Great branding.
Ocean Beach. Oh, those are the two words. Oceanside. Great branding. So I knew that. Also,
Blythe? Good branding?
Yeah, Blythe. What's that?
Blythe.
The ability to grow. It had room for growth.
Yeah.
It had a room for not just new inventory or new things, but it didn't have a ton of things going on for it. But it was in the works. The cities have reinvested money there. Oceanside is a no-brainer. In fact, I'll make this bet with you right now that prices in Oceanside in the next 15 years will double. Oceanside will be Carlsbad.
In the next 15 years,
Prices will double.
prices will double. Wow,
Absolutely.
that's a long game.
Yeah. You want to take that bet? But it'll happen. It'll probably happen in all of San Diego, honestly. But Oceanside for sure, because what you see, everyone can get into their little bubbles, right? There's certain areas that are good for commuting. There's certain areas that aren't. There's certain areas that make sense for people who need to live one place and work another place. Here's what you get with Oceanside, which is great, and this will matter more even when the economy stumbles. Is that Oceanside, you can have one spouse work in Orange County and one spouse work in San Diego very easily. It's pretty much the same deal. It's not a bad commute, and the commute from Oceanside to Orange County and back is not that bad.
If they can improve, I say they, the proverbial whoever they are, if they can fix the schools in Oceanside, I agree with you 100% that it will help the value. Oceanside will do massive up in terms of values. The values will go crazy, and it will help the surrounding areas as well.
You always invest in areas that have bad schools because they can only
they
get better.
They can't get any worse.
Yeah, they can only get better. And when schools get better, real estate values go higher. It's just, that's what happens. So anyway, back to how Steve was wrong. How did we get off of that? So Redfin now, Steve was wrong, Derek was right. Nick also says stick to refereeing, Steve. Terrific. It was an interesting situation. So we were talking about the two articles. So highest median price in the history of San Diego. That was the Tribune yesterday. Today, the Case Shiller report comes out. It's a national report. They specifically pointed out 7 different cities that are still doing really well, that appear to still be growing in appreciation. San Diego is one of those 7 cities.
I'm not surprised.
It's a remarkable thing. We just had Patrick Clark from REIG on here, and he's a home flipper.
Right.
And I said, man, can you make any sense of this? And a light bulb went off for me when we were talking about it, because he was like, look, man, other areas of the country, resale has to fight with new construction. And when I was in Missouri for a couple weeks ago, I saw it. I talked to my aunt and uncle who are real estate agents, and I just talked to them about the market the whole time, and they must hate it. Either they hate it or love it. But I talked to them about it the whole time. And, buyers there gravitate towards new construction because it's brand new.
Right.
And so when you have a resale property, there's a competition there. And so resale usually has to discount to new construction. We don't have that kind of fight here. All the new construction here is on the outskirts for the most part. If there's something that's a new build and it's an infill type project or something like that, that's rare.
Other than downtown, where there's the BOSAs, I mean, they're doing
Sure.
6 buildings.
High rises.
Yeah, high rises. Yeah.
High rises, different story. Totally different market and a game. That whole game is something else. And downtown's a whole nother story. It's sad to me what's going on downtown, but it is what it is. So this particular situation in San Diego, we don't have that. And so what we have is somewhat fixed inventory, but the macro elements aren't changing.
Right.
The weather, Ocean Beach.
Great branding.
Yeah, great branding. It's the best.
Pacific Beach.
Pacific
Genius.
Beach. Genius. We have all that going for us, and we're on the radar now. We're on the map. So you look at something like that report that came out, and we're listed on there. I forget what the other 6 were, but you can look it up. CNBC released an article. Diana Olick.
Detroit, Houston.
Detroit was on there.
Was it really?
Yes, Detroit was on there. But Detroit is on there. We call that a dead cat bounce, right? Like prices got so depressed that they couldn't go any lower. And so, of course, when things start happening well, and they are under some, the government, the mayor, and the people of Detroit are doing a great job bringing that city back. It's a really beautiful thing. And so real estate values, of course, are coming up. And it's easy to get a 2% gain on like a $10,000 basis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The 1.5% gain in San Diego month over month is a big deal.
Right.
It's not a big deal in Detroit. So they just look at percentages to come up with those.
Yeah.
So when you see San Diego on there, it's a really big deal. Seattle is struggling. And it's not too much of a surprise to me. There's cities like that. There's cities that I don't understand. I do not get it.
Then you walk here and you go, wait a second. People live here by choice?
Yeah.
Like,
what are you people doing? Are you brainwashed? Do you go home at night to a cage? Do you have to check in? Are you tagged? I've never been to Seattle, so I'm not going to say that about Seattle. There are places like that. I just know the weather there and the levels of depression and the rain and all that stuff. I don't understand. I don't understand how you could want to do that, to be there. I don't get it. But
this coming from a guy from Missouri.
From Missouri who moved to San Diego because I'm not stupid. So, I don't know. It's a fascinating thing. Real estate always will be. Is there anything you would have done differently now, knowing that you were so wrong about what you told me?
Can we rephrase the question? Objection.
Objection. No, is there anything you've done differently? Honestly?
That's a great question. I don't think so, because I think for what was based on the data that we had at that time, yes, and if I could look back and know the information that I knew now and be able to say, hey, look, here's the deal. If you can wait 3-4 more months and we put a couple $1,000s into this property, here's my commitment to you, you will get 610. You'll get $30,000 over these comps. And we can start at a higher price and let's see what happens. But even then, their personal situation was they needed to be driving away like June 15th. So
there wasn't any room for that then.
The timing was tight. I think with every client, we make the decisions based on the data that we have at that time. And at that time, we were in a market that was changing and that we had watched change over consecutive months. And we had a little insider information, knowing what the other property was going to sell for. I would suspect that that buyer that purchased that property at 610 must have seen, or a good agent would be able to say, model match sold 3-4 months ago at 580. I just want you to know that. And I don't know the circumstances of that buyer. Maybe they needed to find a house, relocating. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
You never know on the
Could have
situation.
been distress.
And
situation.
that's what I always feel is so unique about residential as compared to any other investment class is it only takes one. And many times I'm representing several different clients right now where mom and dad are in different cities, still married, but dad got moved for a job. So there's some motivation there that kind of when they get there, they feel like, let's buy a house. That was a great house in a good neighborhood. I mean, planned unit, planned development, near a park, normal house. But I think based at the time, I probably still would have advised, how can you advise somebody to walk away from a cash offer that's going to close in a week and they can, or 2 weeks, and they can rent back for 2 months? That situation made sense.
Yeah, it did. It did. It was a unique offer, and that's one of the things I was surprised about RedFin, that they were so flexible with them on it, and that they allowed them to do that. I was really surprised by that. But they clearly wanted that house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wonder how many they turn. Do they make everyone an offer? Do they turn people down occasionally? I mean, it's very
Well,
interesting.
I think they probably never turn people down, but their offers reflect what they think they can
Reality.
make money on.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a house that has cracked slab and is right on a freeway and there's power lines going through the property, my expectation is they'll probably still write you an offer. Shoot, I'll write you an offer. It's just not going to be it's going to be at a dollar amount that I feel like I can make a profit on.
Any shout outs for Vista? You want to show any love
Vista
to the
is
community?
good things are happening in Vista.
I
I saw a property, not my listing, with a good friend of mine, Jeannie. She has a property that is up on a mountain that has like 270-degree views, ocean, Pendleton, everything. Really incredible. There's some really great property going on in Vista, and now's the time.
Good value.
Great value.
Great value Vista, and lots of new things coming to the area. I know not all the Vistans are happy about that, but there's
Absolutely.
new things coming.
There's been some development. The city is putting a lot of money into the downtown. The downtown is, as I mentioned, I think a couple of months ago, a good buddy of mine that's a commercial agent that works with Lee and Associates. He was commenting about the area. He said, "quote It's going to be like Vegas." So to people that are from Vista, that when you hear that, you go, whoa, 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 whoa. But they're putting in high rises downtown. Of course, they've got multiple microbreweries. They've got, I mean, they're just pumping a lot of money.
Sinopolis too, right?
There's a Sinopolis that's downtown. Yeah, they changed out the old movie theater. A lot of just they're doing what they can to bring people in.
Yeah.
And they're having some wins for
Yeah.
sure.
Question here from Robert. He asked about inventory levels for multifamily in Vista.
So I actually talked to my buddy that is the commercial agent, specifically about my wife and I purchased a multi-unit in Vista that was kind of up. I don't need to give you the exact address, but over on Hillside. There are more of those that are coming. And I think that in terms of inventory levels, we've started to see those inventory levels come down just because I think a lot of savvy investors feel like, hey, there's a lot of changes here that are changing for the good. I'll hang on to my multi-unit temporarily and let's see what happens. I think it's going to probably take 3 or 4 years, but rents are so high. Rents are high everywhere. And a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, depending on where you are in Vista, Vista is pretty spread out. If you get too far out into 92084 or East Vista Way or get too rural, it becomes more difficult to rent the properties. But it depends on the demographic of your tenant. I mean, if a tenant has an RV or has multiple dogs or something like that, there's some great opportunities in Vista. And 15 minutes from town. I mean, 10 minutes from freeways. My opinion, Vista is the best of all worlds of San Diego. You have great access to the freeways. You get some space. You're not crunched in. It's not filled with tract housing everywhere. Access to freeways, shopping, etc. All of it is
great views too. In a lot of those properties.
Depending on where you are, you can get some ocean views. You get a climate that is temperate. You're not it's not like you're way inland and that you end up. Don't get me wrong, it's not as cool as the well-branded Oceanside or Carlsbad or anything like that. But the difference in temperature is probably typically between 5 and 10 degrees.
What's the closest beach if you're in Vista?
Probably in Vista you'd get on the 78 and it'd take you right into the Oceanside and Carlsbad. I mean, the 78 just kind of cracks right in between them where you're in that South O. So you end up Tamarack.
Yeah, you could do either one.
You could do either one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can make your way down to the village in Carlsbad too.
I actually was talking about Vista on the show maybe 6 months ago, and I had 2 different people that I didn't know reach out to me and say, "Hey, can you not let the secret out? Like, Vista is still our little gem."
Secret's out.
I think there's so much good going on, and in terms of in Vista, and the values are still reasonable. You can get some good-sized homes at a price that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's really what we need here in space. There isn't going to be more space. The opportunity to buy a house with a half-acre lot, even a quarter-acre lot.
Right.
You know, those days are gone. They're not building those.
Right.
That's not what they build now.
Unless you go pretty far east.
Way out.
Yeah, Fallbrook, something like that. So to have something that has the access and the space,
Pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Steve, thank you for humbling yourself before before us all today. I still think you advised the clients properly. I want to tell you that I think you still advised them properly, although we got the value wrong probably on what the home sold for. I was shocked. I mean, shocked to know they listed it for $624,900. Shocked. The fact that they got $610,000 for it, a little more reasonable, but still pretty shocking.
Yeah.
But it just shows you that there's buyers out there who saw the value in Vista, in the area, in that property, after it had been fixed up, and ultimately the RedFin now saga is complete. The circle of life has come. So that's it. Steve Ploetz, thank you so much for joining us today, man. It's great to see you. And hey, share this with your friends. Let's make them smarter than everyone else.